failing, I may have to roam. Dear God, how I'd hate to leave my dear home, but each night in memory, sure I'll see it still. My Virgio home 'neath the maiden tea hill. My Virgio home, that heaven of mine, the home of my parents, so loving and kind. I love them so, and I always will. And my Virgio home 'neath the maiden tea hill.
Good evening. Welcome to This Week in Review. Tonight's stories include
that we learned while we were there, that we're not alone in the world. And
these stories and more coming up after this.
When you're finished with them,
Yeah.
okay?
I don't think I ever tried.
We want to get to the phones and yesterday at the school, it turns out.
Local FFAWCAW in Burgeo has a committee set up to try to get the lines of communication with SeaFreeze back open concerning the local fish plant. We had hoped to get some viewer response to the documentary concerning the SeaFreeze situation here in Burgeo and the results of the union meeting, but unfortunately the weather did not cooperate. Hopefully we will have that for you on next week's program. The Boy and Girl Committee of the Lions Club have their Christmas wish tree set up for this year. Stay with us. There's more of This Week in Review still to come. Sandra. We received several calls at our office last week reporting a whale that appeared to be caught up in something in the beach area. 5 weeks from today is Christmas Eve, and plans are being finalized for many activities being planned for Christmas.
Real as he can be, don't be fooled by his white beard. He has an ace a day. He knows everybody's business, including yours and mine. And there's never been a chimney old Santa Claus can't climb. Joy sent down from heaven by a baby.
I asked him today.
Yeah, they've got quite a crowd. As you can see, there's lots.
Merry Christmas, everybody!
Fire truck,
So he gave the job at Christmas time to Santa Claus to do. Oh, Santa ain't old-fashioned, he's as real as he can be.
Take a ride, and soon Miss Fanny Bright was seated by my side. The horse was lean and lame, misfortune seemed his lot. We got into it, ripped it back, and there we got upset. Oh.
I spoke with Ann Parsons this past week about her recent trip to Beijing to attend the women's conference held there. Speaking with me in the studio today, I have Ann Parsons. Ann is one of 28,000 women that traveled to Beijing early in September for a women's conference there. Welcome to our studio, Ann.
Thanks, Dave.
Ann, can you tell us a little bit about your trip to Beijing?
Well, we were gone for a week, and I could be talking about it for a full year if I really wanted to. But in a nutshell, Dave, I guess what it is, I went with 22 other women from Newfoundland, and we were representing the Women's Economic Network. And that's like throughout the province, different ones. And we went there to bring over our fisheries concerns. So we were labeled the fisherwomen from the Newfoundland, or the Newfoundland contingent, basically. And through that, I guess out of the 22 women, all of us were affected directly and indirectly in some way with the fisheries. Some women worked on the boats with their husbands. Some, like myself, had their husbands who lost their jobs through the fisheries, and other people were just socially involved with the fisheries, like from the Irish Kirby House in St. John's, and handling the social concerns of those things. And I guess what we went to do, Dave, was to bring our stories and to find out what women from other parts of the world and had to say and how they dealt with things. And we had no idea what we were getting into when I left Burgea to go. I had no idea what it was we were going to be doing. I knew we were told to, bring our things with us, videos and slides and pictures, and be prepared for some pretty big presentations. And so we were all summer at that, from April until we landed there, because we even practiced on the way.
Okay, what were the goals set out for the women's conference in Jana?
Well, one of our goals, we brought over a resolution. I should have brought a copy with me, I guess, but anyways, we did. We brought over resolutions basically asking that the United Nations would take possession of the management of the oceans and hopefully protect, because right now, Canada is just, well, I guess it's more than just Canada, but if the United Nations took possession of the management, it would include all the world. And that's what we'd like to see, rather than say have the Russians fishing outside and they're allowed and whatever. So that was one of our resolutions.
Okay, do you feel that the conference will help accomplish this?
Well, again, we were only allowed, we had to put in applications for delegates to attend the United Nations conference, which was held in Beijing on September the 15th. No, I'm sorry, from September the 4th to the 15th. So on the day before we were to leave, we got our chance to get in there, and we were only allowed 2 delegates to that conference. And so they were passed, they were presented. Now whether or not that they'll be accepted, like I myself don't know, right?
Okay, looking back now, what aspect of the trip stands out most in your mind?
Well, I think it was, to me, I felt a sense of pride, pride for our community, pride for our province and our country, too. And to be there with 21 other women from our province who have suffered from the fisheries, and some worse than myself, and some not as bad, but everybody have all had to diversify in some degree or another, or accept what's been dealt out to them and what have you. And I think we were a pretty happy crowd. We were known as the Newfoundland contingent, and we sang little Newfie ditties when we'd all be down, and maybe while we were doing our workshop you'd have women crying, you know, and it would just be hugging and consoling this one or that one, and so those kinds of things will stick out. But unfortunately, we didn't really need to go all the way to China to get this feeling, but to be together with those women, and to be together with women from all different countries of the world. You know, we had women from Iceland and Norway and the Pacific Islands, the Faroe Islands. All of those shared our thoughts, our same experiences with us. And I think what we got out of that, I think, was that, I'm probably going to answer one of your next questions, we learned a lot that we're not alone. That was one of the things that we learned while we were there, that we're not alone in the world.
Okay, in addition to being a learning experience for you, what do you feel the women of China, as well as other countries, learned from the women attending the conference from Canada?
Well, at any of our conferences, we only saw 2 women from China, and one of them came to one of our workshops, and presented us with a silk scarf, which we gave to our coordinator, Sharon Taylor. And but other than that, the dealings that we had with the women of China was in the stores or in the streets or in the factories. We visited some of the factories and saw a lot of women working there, and I think we probably touched their lives a bit, because I think they could see our openness and friendliness and what have you, and by the time we left, that they were saying good morning and good day in pretty good English.
Okay, overall, would you consider the conference to have been a success?
Yes, but I think the conference was certainly a success, but it was only just the beginning for us. One of our workshops that we had, we collected stones from our own communities, and we brought them to China, and we gave them out to other women there. And in turn, we also collected Clara Dunn, who was the artist from Renews, designed our T-shirt, and she had a big poster draw showing us just what it meant when it said women healing oceans, and 2 women holding hands across the oceans, and in the background was black, which represented the oceans, dying oceans, and in the forefront there was different colors, orange and red, and she symbolized that as having hope and peace, and you know, that will be hopefully be back to our oceans again. And what we did there, we had little stones from China that we asked each person to participate in. After our stories and things, we asked them to participate in this little ceremony, and we called it the Healing the Oceans, because there was lots of tears and what have you too. It was very emotional. And we asked them to pick up one of the little stones, say a prayer or make a wish, and sign their name on the poster, and drop it into a bowl of water that we had there. And we had, I think it was 45 people, participated in this presentation or workshop. And we then agreed that when we come back to Newfoundland, that we would have a healing ceremony and drop the stones into the oceans of our waters. And hopefully, I'm sure that we will have a rock from China maybe go in the water around Burgeo. And so, I guess it was, I'm sure it was a success, but it was only just the beginning, because we're planning now, I think it's going to, we're not really sure of the name, but it's probably going to be called Global 2000. Whereas we're going to hopefully have, like, do up a report card on the things that have happened since we all went to China, and what have happened in our fisheries in the the next future 5 years. And hopefully we'll be having some workshops here. We'll be setting up committees and holding workshops here in our communities for other people to come in and see our fishing community.
If the opportunity arose again tomorrow, would you go back?
Yes, in a blink of an eye, I'd be gone again, and I'd raise the money like I did before. Hopefully, if I knew in time, I'd have enough money that what I really would have liked to have done was to spend a little bit of time there. I'm not on my own, but if we'd had our own, a little bit of extra time, because all we did was work and run around and in the suffocating heat and everything to all of those workshops. So we didn't really get much of a chance to really see what China was really like, or that part of China was really like. I mean, we were staying in a community, or not a community, in a city of 250,000 people where we were, and that was small compared to Beijing that had 8 million. So we saw very little, and we only had a little bit of public transportation that took us from our accommodations, our hotels, down to our the forum site. So other than that, I mean, wherever we could walk, we could, and that was all we saw. Right? So we'd like to have seen a little bit more.
Okay, Ann, well, we'd like to thank you for coming in and telling us about your trip.
Thank you, Dave.
Our guest today is Ann Parsons. Ann was one of 28,000 women that traveled to Beijing in September. Stay tuned. There's more of This Week in Review still to come. The Bay St. George SPCA would like to thank everyone who dropped items into the drop-off box located at our office to be donated to the shelter. There are a lot of dogs and cats at the shelter that need good homes, including this one, the SPCA's Pet of the Week. This is Chemo, a 2.5-year-old terrier. Chemo is friendly, loves to play, and is house-trained. Chemo sits, begs, and needs a good home. If you need a little friend, Chemo needs you too. He's just waiting to be adopted. Chemo is the SPCA's Pet of the Week. Off the Rack. This week as we scanned our tape racks, we came across a tape of videos that Peggy Han, Mike Pink, and myself compiled during the summers of 1989 and 1990. Here's one of those videos.
I'm a real wild one, wild one, wild one. Well, I'm just out of school, like a real, real cool. Gotta dance like a fool.
And I'll be back again next week with This Week in Review. Stay with us now for the bandwagon. For This Week in Review, I'm Dave Cooper. Good night.